Welcome in Science Magazine program. Please listen to an interview on the topic carbon credit utilization and the need of impactful PhD. Expert in studio is distinguished Professor Suresh Bhargava, an academic professor at Academy of Scientific and Innovative Research. Interviewer is Manoj Mainkar.
It's a privilege and more a pleasure to welcome Professor Suresh Bhargava to the studios of Akashvani. For those of you who already do not know about Professor Suresh Bhargava, let me tell you that he is an Indian-Australian academic and multidisciplinary scientist specializing in chemical engineering. He's a distinguished professor at the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, RMIT. He's also the founding director of the Centre for Advanced Materials and Industrial Chemistry, CAMIC, and he's the current Dean of Research and Innovation, India, at the STEM College at RMIT. He's also fellow of 7 academies worldwide, including the World Academy of Sciences, UNESCO. Professor Suresh Bhargava, if I go on and on describing you and your achievements, I think we'll run out of time. So I extend my heartfelt welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much. It looks like to me is the dream, my dream is fulfilled. It was always a dream. One day I may be able to speak All India Radio, and today is the dream fulfilled. So it's a pleasure and privilege to talk to you, both as a non-resident Indians who came from Australia with the full of heart of the India in these countries over there, who once worked with very deeply with Australian government. This is my working place, and I dedicate my 30 years of life to connecting the toes, isn't there, in various ways.
You've been a mentor at RMIT Australia to God knows how many PhD students, and I'm sure most of them are doing well in their respective jobs. As you build bridges between the two countries, Australia and India, I would like to start with my first question, especially for the sake of students. I want to know about the joint PhD program between RMIT and AcSIR.
That's a very live questions there. I am here for that purpose as well. What happens in nearly about a decade ago, there was a vision came that all the CSR laboratories where all the translation research is happening, there is a number of PhDs are working over there, then there should be academy should be established. And the AcSIR was born. That was born by the law of the parliament, directly coming under the PMO office and the CSIR. Now, these students can join to the AcSIR, but the vision of the AcSIR was so brilliant when the founder chancellor, Dr. Michelle Kerr, visited Melbourne and he talked about I immediately jump on it. That is the platforms where we can generate the new generation of Indian scientists over there and give them a global exposures. So then within 4 hours, we signed a MOU between RMIT and AcSIR is there too. And that is growing so fast. Then today, the RMIT is joined with the 30 CSR laboratories over there. Now, 182 PhD has been enrolled from the 30 laboratories of CSIR, including NPL, including NCL. And out of that, 60 have been awarded PhDs. Now, what we talk about the PhDs, it is not, the another talk I'm giving nowadays is there is a number, is the PhD impact or the impactful PhD? So when we talk about the impactful PhDs, then I run these programs when the students enter in my campus in Melbourne and leave the campus, always associated with me and my teams is in there too. RMIT is a place where they strongly believe in diversity. RMIT is a place they provide the opportunity to everyone on the world is in there too. RMIT is a global university of science and technology. So I have that privilege from my mentors, from my leaders that go ahead. We want to be known in the world that we are serving the world. And that's why this platform comes. And many of those 60 leaders, they are working in MIT, they are working in UCLAs, they are working in many top institutions in the world. They all are 100% employed. Many of them come back over there too. So I provide them a mentorships. I try to train them how they can take the mind to the marketplace. It's a modern PhDs and they are getting a global experience. So the idea was there, you not only do the PhD in India, but also you do the some part of PhD in Australia on a platforms. You're not only doing the PhDs, but also you are observing the behavior of the foreign scientists, foreign peoples, foreign market. So tomorrow you can become a real leaders.
Professor Bhargava, that brings to my mind a very, very fundamental question that hasn't been addressed yet. Is there a huge gap between, fundamental science as we understand and applied technology? How big is the gap?
The fundamental science is the heart of the innovations of the applied science. Unless you discover the fundamental science, the applied is not valuable because that thought will absorb and then you have to search again why. The question of why in the science comes from the fundamentals. It is the heart of the body is the innovation. The body is the applied science. Body works, body see. Eye sees, hear, ear sins. आपके ear सुन रहे हैं, आपकी आंखें देख रही हैं, लेकिन एक सोल है अंदर, फंडामेंटल जो डायरेक्ट करती है, जो आपको जो सेंस भेजती है, और बॉडी के हर पार्ट को कि आप सुन सकते हो, आप नहीं सुन सकते. तो बॉडी का अगर कोई भी पार्ट खराब हो जाए तो आपको पता है ना कि माइंड जो है आपको सेंस भेजता है. तो दैट इज व्हाई द बोथ फंडामेंटल्स एंड अप्लाइड साइंस आर joined together. They are not separable. But fundamental science has been developed a lot. We have focused in the last centuries on fundamental science. Now the society wants, now science has become expensive. Now the normal society wants, how can I see this science is translational? How this science is giving me direct benefit to me? What is the cost benefit analysis? Because the world is moving towards the business world. They want to see, does the student really understand? So what I've done in all PhD students who are coming from India and coming from my group as well, I also ask them to introduce a new chapter. Impact of my research, and that impact is threefold. One is the knowledge impact, that based upon the publications in the fundamentals. Second is the commercial impact. Is this my research is applicable to the industries and how they can help to solve a problem of industry? And third is the societal impact. Is the community, is my research will benefit the common peoples? So now it's not necessarily that particularly PhD will going to serve all these the impact, but it is the changing the attitude of the young generation that I am doing a PhD with a purpose, and the purpose is just not to publish the papers but to serve the community as well.
We talked about fundamental science and applied technology. If I extrapolate this, if I take you out to the market, how do you view the level of industry academia bonding vis-a-vis say 10 years ago? You've seen the world.
I think when I started about nearly 30 years ago, there's a big gap between the industry and academia, because I think the fundamentals of the both institutions were different. The academics thinks that we are there to generate knowledge only, to publish the papers in the past. The industry thinks we exist only to make a profit. If I don't make profit, I don't exist. They both were right. But they did not realize that they are connected to each other. If this is right, if this fundamental can translate into the useful product, towards the innovations, towards those things which we are seeing by AI, amazing things which you see in the dawn technology, different type of technology, either in the defense or in the material science or in the innovations. Now the new technology which I'm working on, the additive manufacturing. I'm also working on the Soran Basam. I got the idea of the Soran Basam from India, but now I am making the gold compounds in RMIT, and they are proving a quite effective, significant effect towards certain cancer cells, ovarian cancer. One of my paper has been viral in the world with around 240 media is chasing that. 176 million viewers are watching those media outlets, watching there. In fact, the third largest producer of the gold, Agno Eagles, they fly over from Canada, America, and offered me 25 kilogram of the pure gold to support the research. But amount of the gold is not important. The impact was important. The industrial world start watching that this fundamental research is now applicable. We can make the difference. So the new word is in academic world. First word was coming about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, H-index, what we call the H-index of the paper. How many papers? But H-index is one thing that your paper is cited by your peer groups. So suppose I'm working in the gold, only paper is cited by the scientists working in the gold, not by the publics. Now the new terminology is appearing in the science in the last 3 or 5 years. Impact. Now this word impact, which I explained to you before, that is related to the industries. So now the industries, what they are doing, they are looking for innovation technologies coming from academia. And they are thinking, is your innovation can be translated into the product where I can not only deliver your product to the market, but I can also make money, isn't there? So now the bridge is closing up. And I must say that over the 30 years, that was my prime jobs. I have an opportunity to work with Aditya Birla Groups as a non-executive board of directors as well, in one of his companies as well. So I understand how the business work there. That company is very forward-going company. They have education institutions, then all those sort of things there. BITS Pilani, you can see, is a premier institution of India as well. RMIT is connected with that as well. So all those things are happening in today's world because today's world is moving such a fast rate. In this fast rate, the merger of the two is have to happen. There is no choice.
Professor Bhargava, when I was reading up on you, I also chanced upon a bond between you and the Indian Institute of Petroleum, Dehradun. Of course, we are referring to other things as well, your advanced materials and other things. Does this apply to hydrocarbons as well?
Oh, yes. What we are doing, and Dr. Amok Garg was the director at the times, and we applied for the AcSIR grant, Australia India Strategic Research Funds, which I also significantly contributed to set up that grants as well and to promote that grant as well in the world. I was a recipient of the grant challenge, and that was the mini DMA, the fuels. Energy is a big concern to all countries. We are talking about solar, clean energy, and clean energy is one of the things, and we want energy but a clean energy. So there was a project of the mini DMAs is in there too. And then Indian Institute of Petroleum is the major player from India, while the RMIT and CSIRO and the Melbourne Uni was the another players is in there. But innovation part, what we brought in there is the additive manufacturing. So we got the 3D printings concept into the chemical engineering first times. And that due to that innovations, we pass on to them those technology. All those 3D printed was done in Australia, passed on to IIP. They were using there. The car was running. And also I believe that, I don't know the commercial word is and confidential maybe, but I know that the Indian Institute of Petroleums successfully make a 3D printed reactors which is producing the deuterated methanols and other thing as well. So technology is there. The attitude is changing. The innovation is happening. What to me, I pass on that knowledge to the world. I wrote the book, Additive Manufacturing for Chemical Science, Chemical Engineering. That has been translated into German and translated to another language as well. 23,000 copies were sold in 4 years. Isn't there too? Now, good thing about it, I donated all the royalties. All the COVID children were impacted by the COVID where they lost their parents in there too. So it was a good cause is in there. I try to do the things very innovatively. I involve my student as well. I established a COVIDia club at that time as well. And I know how painful it was, that period was. So that book was written in that period. So that book is totally dedicated towards there as well. And now the German are very taking it to the classroom is in there too. And hopefully the India is also like IT Delhi. Many of the Indian CSR labs, Indian institutions are moving very fast rate into the additive manufacturing as well.
Lithium during the last 10 years has, to my mind, served more as a polarizing agent than an actual fuel for, equipments and stuff. Across the world, is anyone trying to either look for or develop a substitute for?
I think the sodium cell is coming up. Sodium cell is coming very popular as well. I know the HPCL is working on that as well. Many other IITs are working on the sodium cell as well. But there are two problems. One problem is there when you have established technology already. When you have a product in the market, you are buying the lithium cells all the time. You go to the market and you buy the cells. It's a lithium battery is there too, and using it. So the confidence of the public on that cell is higher as compared to the new product which is just coming in the market, right?
And this is not connected with knowledge at all.
No. It's just a concept. Sometimes it's a concept. Perception of a, now you are going to a mall, or you're going to a big shop, you have a mark, there is a, you're going to the different shops and there too, and you're more than happy to pay the price as well. Because the perceptions, and also not only is that proven, confidence and trust is there. So the lithium, that's why the lithium remain important. But the alternatives are available. But they will take
Even
time.
bauxite was, I know of one public sector undertaking that was doing research in bauxite or aluminum for the same.
It is just a electrochemical process, and many metals in the periodic tables they can do. But the question is there, sometimes people go on the cost, sometimes people go on the durability of the cells, sometimes they say the hazard, occupational health and safety issues as well, because depends upon as well whether you are going to use a battery in the phone, whether you're going to use battery in your car, whether you're going to use the battery in the train. Battery is a power, where this power is going to be used, and whether it's how sensitive that applied application is. You want to keep in the pocket, or you want to drive with that? Different stories, different type of the cells can be used.
Has the technology reached a level where material can be synthesized? If it doesn't exist in your minds, can it be synthesized in a laboratory?
Theoretically, yes, because the radioactive forms, when we do the radioactive decays, different materials are formed. But the amount of the energy you use to produce the different element by the radioactive decays are there. In my opinion, that probably, you see that, the alchemy, they talk about that mercury can be converted to the gold, and we do that. But the cost of converting mercury into the gold is theoretically possible, practically possible as well, by the radiation, continuous radiations of the different type of rays in there. But is it worth it? Then you say the cost of doing all those things is 10 times more of the cost of the pure gold. Why should I do that? So what I'm saying to you, yes, theoretically, any by the radioactive decays, but certain elements can be produced, radioactively. But you have to see the techno-economic modeling of that process.
Professor Bhargava, you've authored over 600 articles, 21 book chapters. We want to know here is something about your patents.
So one of the patents which has been granted by the US as well is about the gold patents. So I developed, my passion goes to the gold. Actually, there is a story about it. Actually, I was always passionate about the Soran Basam in India. And my mother, she was a low blood pressure patient, and Veggie used to make this gold Soran Basam on the spot, and then she I also tested in the childhood as well, just a curiosity. What is there? Nothing happened. I'm perfectly okay. And it was very effective drugs at that time as well. But the technology of these traditional drugs was never proved. The Western world has never accepted it because they don't know the composition, right composition of it. They don't know its action in the body also. So the action of the body of these type of the Ayurvedic drugs, the traditional work was unknown. So I was very fascinated about that too. So one of the work I started when I went to the ANU from England. I did my PhD from England, and then I went to the ANU, and one of my supervisor gave me a task of making a gold compounds. So after 1 year's hard labors, he gave me a very unique project. He said, I want to make the gold compounds in the bimetallic compounds in there where the gold atoms are connected. It took me about 1 year, nearly 8 or 9 months to make the first compound. And when I reached to this person who was a Professor Martin Bennett, he's FRS and all those things. And I showed Martin, I believe that I got this compound. And he said, yes, you got the compound. And he told me only one sentence on that day. It was 1983. He told me, Suresh, you don't know what you discovered today. I said, what do you mean? You're sitting on the gold mine. And remember that day in 1984, 85, and we got the papers in there too. It continues till to date. The gold chemistry, I have published nearly about more than 150 papers on the gold now. And the gold chemistry is continuous. Now, about 5 or 10 years ago, I translated those gold compounds into the cancer treatment. And one of the patent is granted by the PCT. Several patent is granted, but one of the patent is granted by the US. US patent has been granted this year to me after waiting about 7 years. But also PCT patents and all those patent has been granted. And there is a grant came under the AcSIR with the IICT Hyderabad under the joint collaborations that treating these gold compounds. But the difference in the gold, some of these compounds are, these gold compounds are very well defined, very well structurally characterized, and their action in the biological cell empirically. So we can do that. We can see it. Seeing is believing it. So we can see how they're working, how they're interacting with the DNA or the cancer cells and all those things, how they're killing the cancer cells. I mean, those theory is we are approaching towards that. So that's why that is my passion as well. That is my mission of the life as well. If I can contribute to develop a alternative drugs of the cancer treatment, even a small contribution, but a real contribution, if I can do that, well, that will be the purpose of the life, purpose of the research.
Professor Suresh Bhargava, I mean, we've discussed so much, but to me, it appears just like the tip of the iceberg. There's so much left. But I would like to leave the studio on a rather poignant note. On one of the RMIT University magazines or journals, you've been quoted as saying, I want to leave this world a better place than when I entered it. These are poignant lines. Is there philosophical side to you or scientists in general?
I think it's an individual choice. What did they do? That too, you remember that by birth I'm Indian. I born in Meerut, yes. And I birthed my Indians. By heart I'm Indians. By working I'm Australian. So there is a mixture of both. So when you are born in this country, there is a DNA here, DNA in the body. So the soul and the philosophy of the India, you cannot get rid of it. It is the part of you. Sometimes it disappears. But when you grown up, when you go to the way of the lives in there, you start searching the purpose of the life. And the purpose of the life is there too. Then you start asking a question, why I'm here? When you starting, the D point is not far away. When you start seeing the D point, people have passed through already the D point, then you start asking a question, stay there, what is the purpose? Why I'm working for several years, doing all those sort of things, earning the money, earning the car, all those sort of things too. Is it the purpose? Is doing the purpose? Research I'm doing, is it the purpose? What is the purpose of the life? And that's elegance, what you just told me. What the purpose of my life I dictate there. I want to leave this world a better place when I entered in there. So whatever the smallest contribution, I believe that we are the part of the nature. We are going back to the nature. We are not the custodian of this world. We are the tenant of this world. I'll tell you a small story. I mean, so many small Indian traditions which I am to correlate with the science are amazing. My mother was not PhD, but when I noticed there, whenever she take her meal, she always takes some small piece of the roti or saag, वो निकाल के रख देती थी, ये चिड़िया का है, वो पानी का डाला, ये चिड़िया का है. Then I remember before she touched the meal, she is giving to the nature. So she is caring about. अब मुझे पता चला विश्व का कल्याण. आपको पता ना, वो चीजें जो थी वो एक पद्धति में आ गई थी. उनका मतलब नहीं पता था, लेकिन जब सोचा उनको, अब यही तो मैं कह रहा हूँ, ये प्रधानमंत्री, आपके प्रधानमंत्री, मेरे भी नेता हैं, वो उन चीजों को जागरूक करने की कोशिश करते हैं. इसलिए मैं प्रभावित हूँ. जब वो बैठते हैं बच्चों के साथ, जब वो मन की बात आप बोलते हैं, जिसको मैं लगातार सुनता हूँ, वो प्रभावित करती है. वो मन से नहीं निकलती, वो दिल से निकलती है. उसमें फिर लाइफ का पर्पस समझ में आता है. और मुझे आज अच्छा बहुत सौभाग्य है कि मैं उस शख्स से मुलाकात कर रहा हूँ जो इंग्लिश ट्रांसलेशन करता है मन की बात का. तो आपकी बातों को समझने में, वर्ड तक पहुंचाने में रियल प्लेजर.
सौभाग्य मेरा है. Professor Suresh Bhargava, as we come to the conclusion of this stimulating conversation that concluded with, I found elements of Bhagavad Gita when you were referring to certain things. On that note, I must admit this interaction with you has been akin to doing an impactful PhD under you. Thank you for the experience.
You were listening to this interview with distinguished Professor Suresh Bhargava, a world-renowned interdisciplinary scientist, narrated by Mubin Ahmed Khan and produced by Dilip Jha. This broadcast came to you from Indraprasth channel of Akashvani, Delhi.